Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the pure swing. First thing we want to do is take our grip on the golf club, and as I set up in my address position here, I'm going to notice that this guide is off the inside of my left forearm. Also, I'm going to look down here and see one line as I set up to my address position. So once you get set up here, you're going to notice that, I might have a little slight shaft lean here, but basically we want to start with this guide off the inside of the forearm, and we can see one white line. Okay, now from our setup position here, just like we did with the Power Angle Pro, we're going to go ahead and start our takeaway, and as I move back to the takeaway, this guide here is actually going to touch the inside of my left forearm, and that happens because my right wrist is going to bend back, and as soon as I feel it touch the inside of the forearm, I know that I've bent my right wrist back far enough. So from the address position here, what we want to do is go ahead and make our takeaway move just like we did with the Power Angle, and allow the right wrist to bend back, which will place the guide on the inside of the left forearm. Now, we want to keep a little bit of pressure on the guide on the inside of the forearm from that point all the way through the entire golf swing. Now, what we're doing here first is we're going to do some static positions here. We're going to move through them and pose them just like we did with the Power Angle. And then after we've got some feeling of where the club face is going to be in the golf swing, then we can make some practice swings, and then we can go on all the way into actually chipping and pitching balls with the pure swing. So, but first let's go ahead and get a good address position here. We're going to go ahead and move to the takeaway. And again, this is a key move here. You really want to work on this and get the feeling of that right wrist bending back slightly, putting the guide on the inside of the left forearm with just a little bit of pressure. Now, once I get to my takeaway position here, I'm going to go ahead and take it up to the top of the backswing, and you're going to notice that I'm keeping pressure on the guide on the inside here, which gives me a good wrist condition here at the top of my backswing. If I was to let it come off, you could see how my wrist would break down, and obviously that's a position that we want to try to avoid and that I see in a lot of golfers. So as we take our setup here and move to the takeaway, we establish that pressure on the inside of the forearm, and we maintain it to the top of the backswing, which gives us a nice on-plane, solid backswing. Now from the backswing position, we're going to go ahead and move down to the release position here, and what you're going to see is one line there. Also, I've maintained the pressure of the guide on the inside of the left forearm. Now if I was to move down from the top of the backswing and relax that pressure, you can see how my left wrist would break down here, and the club face would be open. I'd also feel the guide come over and touch the inside of the right arm, and I wouldn't see any line there. So to make this real simple for you, once we establish that guide on the inside of the left forearm with some pressure, and what you can do is you can feel a little counterclockwise motion of your left forearm here just to hold the pressure there. It's not going to go too much to where the club face would close because we have a guide here to prevent that. So as we take it back and the guide touches the inside of the arm, try to feel a little bit of that pressure as we take it up to the top of the backswing. Maintain that pressure down to the release position. Now, once we get into this release position, what we're going to do is we see one line here, and as we move through the impact area, through the follow-through, as I'm looking now, I'm seeing two lines. Now this is where the rotation happens in the golf swing as far as the club head goes. So basically what we want to do is from right here, we're going to go ahead and allow that left forearm to rotate, and as it rotates, the guide is going to work that club face, square at impact, keeping the pressure here all the way to the follow-through. Now, to let me know that I've done it correctly, if I'm looking at it from this position, I'm going to see two lines here. So, real simple. What we want to do is make sure we keep the pressure on the inside of the left forearm, and once we get down to the release position here, we're going to go ahead and rotate through. We can check our impact position there, and then go right to the follow-through position. So let's go ahead and take our setup again here, and we're going to run through it one more time. Again, when we set up, we're going to make sure the guide is off the inside of the left forearm. We see one white line down here. I make my takeaway motion. The guide is touching the inside of the left forearm. I got a little pressure there. From here, I'm going to take it up to the top of the backswing. I still have some pressure there. I'm going to move it down to the transition, all the way down to the release position. And from here, I'm looking at one line. I've got pressure on the bar. I'm going to move it through impact to the follow through. And this is an area you want to practice a lot. You can just set up here and rotate, and always checking to make sure that you got two lines over here. I don't want to get here and go like this, which would bring the guide to the inside of the right arm. I'm getting no rotation there, and the face is wide open. So after you get comfortable with the pressure, as you work through the backswing and the start of the downswing, you really want to get to this area right here where we've got the shaft parallel to our target line. We're in the release position here, and we're just going to rotate it through to the follow through. Just do this over and over. That's key right there. That's what's going to make this square up and hit solid golf shots.